What's going on, guys? In the works, and welcome to another Battlefield 3 Showdown. And today we are doing two engineer weapons because a lot of you guys requested seeing some more engineer choices, and I figured we'd do the A-91 versus the M4 because they do have very similar statistics, and a lot of times it's hard to choose between the two because they are so similar. So it should be a pretty good showdown today. But last week we did the M4A1's big brother, the M16A3 versus the AK-74M, and the M16A3 was the clear-cut winner in both the comments and the Facebook poll, but there were a lot of people who liked the AK-74M, but I think we have to declare the M16A3 the champion. Even post-patch, people seem to really love that thing. So if you want to be a part in this week's episode, be sure to vote in the Facebook poll at the end of this video, and I also grabbed comments from the last video and post a couple of those up, so be sure to leave your feedback. But this week we're doing the A-91 versus the M4A1, and you can see the stats are pretty similar. They both fire 800 rounds per minute, but the biggest difference here is the reload speeds and the recoil. I will point out that all engineer weapons are uniform far as damage, other than the Scar H, which does more damage, but it also shoots at a very slow pace. So damage wise, rate of fire wise, pretty similar, but you can see there kind of the M4 with heavy barrel in the middle and heavy barrel with the foregrip. You definitely don't want to put foregrip on the M4. You definitely want to stick to the heavy barrel because foregrip doesn't really pose much advantage at all. In fact, I would say it almost detracts from it. But the A-91, which you unlock at 58,000 points on the engineer, so it's pretty easy to unlock early on. It really benefits from the foregrip and the combination of heavy barrel. So you can see the middle there is the heavy barrel, and on the right is heavy barrel with foregrip. And the foregrip really pulls it in because unlike the M4, the A-91 has a lot of side-to-side recoil. In fact, out of the engineer weapons, it was probably one of the ones that I would say benefits most from the foregrip because it does pull 0.5 to the left and 0.5 to the right. So the thing about that is it really balances out in terms of recoil and muzzle drift, whatever you want to call it. It really balances itself out, which unlike a lot of weapons in this game, I feel like the recoil kind of fights itself. But whereas the A-91, it's got a lot of recoil. I would say it's a medium-high recoil, but it's really controllable. It's really predictable. Whereas the M4, it doesn't have a lot of recoil whatsoever, but the recoil it does have seems like it's searching for an identity. It seems like it's always trying to pull in one direction, and I feel up close I'm often painting circles around my targets. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of the M4. And even statistics-wise, you would look at the M4 and say like, well, this is way better. Well, personal experience though, I'm really an A-91 guy. I feel like the A-91 really shines in my hands, and it's probably one of my favorite engineer choices. So this week is going to be heavily influenced just based on what I've experienced, what I prefer. However, your preferences might be a little bit different, so don't get too offended. But the thing about the A-91 is, like I said, it really benefits from the foregrip, and slapping on that heavy barrel kind of hones it in, kind of depletes that foregrip disadvantage. And I don't know, I really enjoy it with both of these attachments, which is something I wouldn't suggest for a lot of weapons. So when you're thinking about attachments on this, do not put foregrip on your M4. Always stick to the heavy barrel because you're going to get way better results that way. Now, recoil-wise, like I said, the A-91 has a lot of recoil, and it does reload much slower. So those are the two disadvantages you have when you pick up this weapon over the M4. The initial recoil, or aim fire as a lot of people like to call it, is 0.2 higher on the A-91 as well. So recoil wise, the A-91's not really painting a very good campaign to be the winner this week, but I really think if you try these out, if you really get some experience with both of them, you will be an A-91 fan. Like I said, it's a lot easier for me to control the recoil, or at least predict the recoil on the A-91, and it's probably one of my favorite choices in the game. But statistics wise, I really think the M4 is the best. I found that faster reload on the M4, it can save you quite often because, it's almost 0.6 or 7 faster than the A-91. And that's my biggest complaint about the A-91 is the fact that it does have such a slow reload. I found it gets me in trouble a lot of times. Like right here, I have to take cover just to reload. And I probably could have taken out this guy with the 16 bullets in my magazine, but the reload times do get on my nerves because it is one of the slower reloading engineer choices. I think that in fact it is the slowest, with the G53 being the second slowest at 3.2. So reload times are something that you really have to consider. If you find yourself engaging 5-6 people and you're going to need a reload, perhaps you might want to choose the M4 just because it does have a faster reload. Now, one of the things that people often overlook is bullet velocity, and bullet velocity on the A-91 is the slowest the slowest spectrum of bullet velocity out of the engineered choices. In fact, it only shoots 420 meters per second, whereas the M4 shoots 500 meters per second, and that's a big advantage because that means the range on the M4 is going to be a lot better than the A-91. Now, inherently, range in Battlefield 3 is infinite if you can hit the target to a certain design, but I found that if you want a long-range weapon, you definitely want to go with the M4 heavy barrel. Honestly, both of these are going to be outshot by assault rifles at longer ranges just because, they are not really meant for that, but if you find yourself engaging people at longer ranges, M4 is going to really shine over the A-91 because, like I said, that initial aim fire recoil and the fact that it does have such slow bullet velocity really kind of hinders it as a long range weapon. So let me know in the Facebook poll which weapon you guys like the best, which one you would like to see be victorious, because we have some interesting choices here. Since they are so similar, you have a hard time really giving one the edge over the other. So I'm curious to see what you guys think, and like I said, I'm an A91 guy, and that's just personal preference, personal experience, but your experiences might be a little bit different. So let me know what you also might like to see in the future, because I am thinking about doing a recap episode where we kind of go back and look at some of the past winners and kind of pit them against some new winners, and I think that would be pretty cool here coming up in maybe the next couple episodes. So I'm always looking for new suggestions because I always grab a couple top comments from that. Vote in the Facebook poll. Let me know what you guys might like to see, and I will see you guys later. Peace.